Boys and girls, it's your boy, Bob Light here. Korg Wavestation, how to easily build performances in here. When you load up the Wavestation, there's no idea of a initialize patch. So what you have to do, or performance, so what you have to do is take an existing performance and modify it. So you can come into any of these banks of 49 performances, just double click. So let's just go to ROM 4. Let's grab this one here. And we're gonna manually initialize this patch. So to do that, To do that, we're gonna simply click in this number field and hold, and then pull your mouse down. Drag all the way down until the part is empty. Next thing we're gonna do in the key zones here, click and drag all these out. We want each part of the performance to take up the whole keyboard as of now. Now, as you go through each part here, you'll see on the right, there are various settings that have been set. So we'll want to reset those as well. And this is normally a good set of settings to have per part here. So what we have over on the right now, we'll just reset these first three here because I don't think we're going to use more than those three. Cool. So also, let's go into effects here, and we want to turn off effects. We want to keep it dry for now, and then if we want to use effects later, you can use the ones built into the synth or use some in your DAW. Now, first thing we want to do is load up a patch into part 1. So if you click list here, it pulls up the patch list over on the left, and you have a bunch of banks that contain 34 patches. The patches are the actual oscillators. That's where the actual sound is generated. And I did a video that talks about the architecture of the Wavestation, how to save performances, so be sure to go check that out too. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of come through here and find a good patch for my first layer. And I'm thinking we start with some strings. So let's go with this slow strings in the first spot. Let's just play this as is. God, this synth is so juicy. That sounds great. You could use that just as it is, but that's good. Let's very quickly go into this patch by clicking the patch button. And we can see this is a 1 oscillator patch. And what that means is that this vector joystick will have no effect. This vector joystick allows us to blend between 2 or 4 oscillators. So a patch can have 3 structures, 1 oscillator, 2, or 4. This is a single. The vector has no effect on here. Just keep that in mind. But also, the single oscillator patches are a great place to learn the synth because there's only 1 oscillator you have to worry about. What I'm going to do is go into the filter here, and I can see this filter cutoff is being modulated by 2 different sources here, and I'm just going to essentially set these to 0 so nothing's being modulated on the filter. I'm going to change the mode to a resonant filter instead of an exciter. That is what I wanted, so we'll keep that there, and let's go back to the performance. And now we are ready to stack another patch on top of this. So I'm going to go into part 2 here. I'm going to click list, and let's search through here for something. Yeah, I think the strings make for a nice bass in the pad, but there's not a lot of movement. Maybe some slight like vibrato I hear. Maybe it's placebo, but that's a good bass. So I want something kind of on top of it to swirl around, and maybe something a little more high pitch. So let's search through these patch lists here and find something to stack on top. Let's play with this one a little bit. So if I go to the patch for Magic Synth, I can see it's a 2 oscillator patch, which means I can blend between the two, or A and C on the x-axis. So if I come back here, I'm thinking maybe we transpose it up a little bit here. Oh, that's funky. I'm going to go into the patch for this, and I'm going to go to the amp envelope and increase the attack a little bit. I want it to gradually come in. And then I want it to gradually fade out. And then let's go ahead and wiggle this vector joystick here and just see what we get when we blend between the two. The two oscillator patches, you typically don't get as much movement when you're just blending between two. It's when you get the four that you get a lot of cool stuff in here. So bit of a funky vibrato on that magic synth. I don't know if I like it. I forgot the amp envelope on the other oscillator, so let's increase that as well. I'm going to solo this. So when you're in a patch, you can solo each oscillator by just clicking the little sound icon. And then back in the performance page, you can solo each part doing the same thing. Okay, that's an interesting one. Let's just roll with that for now, just for the sake of creating this video. So let's say we have that, we're happy with that. What I could do is, let's say I want to modulate this vector joystick. It'd be difficult to control this while I'm playing on here. So a few ways to do it. I could move it around physically while recording automation. As I jiggle this around in Bitwig on the bottom left in my device chain, you'll see the joystick X and Y axis values are available to be modulated. So I could come in here, I could add an LFO, and I could apply it to, we want the X axis, and then I can slow it way down, and you'll see that joystick is now very slowly being modulated. That's one way to do it. If you wanted a little bit more fine-tuned control, you could come in to your timeline here and just paint in some MIDI. Let's get a really long chord there. Let's just drag it out. Okay, so we got a really long note there, and I'm going to drop down this automation panel here in the top left. And if I go to Wavestation, I'll see the joystick X and Y. So I can add the joystick X, and I'm going to add the Y as well, even though we don't have anything on the Y axis technically. And what I'm going to do is then remove this LFO, and I'm going to come to my X axis here and paint in some automation. Now the name of the game with this joystick, I think, is slow, sweepy movements. There are some instances where maybe faster ones are warranted, but typically I think slow and subtle mixing. So I don't want to go all the way to the right or all the way to the left. I just want to kind of jiggle it around, modulate it. So let's see what this does. right, so what we did was added a reverb there. You typically want to drench these things in reverb. The Arturia reverb intensity is a fantastic, modern, spacey reverb. It's amazing, probably one of my favorites alongside the Valhalla stuff. I added a high pass filter on there just to cut some of the reverb out of the low end. Typically when I'm making jungle drum and bass, I want to leave room for that 808. And then I put an effect rack here with a pan man on there to kind of try to pan the sound around. Looking at it now, I don't think it sounds as good. What I may want to do is split out that second part and just pan that and have the string sit in the middle. So there are a few ways I could do that. The Wavestation actually has multiple outputs on it. So if I come into the device here in Bitwig and click this guy, I can add missing changes, and you'll see I have a 1 and a 2 stereo out, and then a 3 and a 4. And what that means is I could set up different chains of effects per output, and then I could route different parts to different outputs. So if I solo 3 and 4, I'll hear nothing because we haven't set anything to go out on 3 and 4. Okay, sorry about that. Had to consult the manual again, not gonna lie. So as I was saying, we want to use the panning effect, but just on one part. And so what I've done is I've added my 2 chains here. So I have a stereo out 1 and 2, which part 1 is gonna go out of. And then we have a 3 and a 4 that part 2 is gonna go out of. So first thing you need to do is go to settings and turn outputs 3 and 4 on. You can just click, go back to the performance, go to effects, turn mix 3 and mix 4 off and set it to parallel. Now when you go back to the performance, you're going to select that first part here, and you're going to set the FX bus to A50, B50, and then go to the next part and set the FX bus to C and D. So if I solo the second one in the bottom left, you'll see audio just coming out at 3 and 4. And then if I solo the top one in the bottom left, you'll see audio just coming out of 1 and 2. So what that means is we can process each part separately within our DAW. So the panning effect, I'm going to select 3 and 4, and I'm going to drag the effect rack into 3 and 4, and then I'm going to open that back up and increase the width, and then let's just solo that. And then both together. All right, so we have that set up, and yeah. There you go, folks. So once you have a patch that you like, I'm going to show you real quick how to save it again. So I would cut, or I'm sorry, a performance. You come to the top here, just double click. Just name it whatever you want. Then you're going to go to File. I'm sorry, you're going to go to Write. You first have to write the performance. And as I mentioned, you can only write to RAM 1, 2, or 3. So you would select your filters here. So I'm going to say, hey, this is a layered pad. And I'm going to overwrite Ski Jam here. So hit OK. If I go back to my browser, we'll see test performance has overwritten Ski Jam. You then need to save the RAM 1 bank. So go to File, Save, Save RAM 1. You'd save it to your disk here. And then next time when you load the Korg Wavestation, you would have to load the file. So you go to File, Load, Load RAM 1, find that test 1, and there you go. That's how you do it, folks. Korg Wavestation, it's amazing. Check it out.